think tank here on a given Wednesday at 4 p.m. 4 to 5 block. And as everyone knows this. This is Energy Wednesday. Hawaii, the state of clean energy. Special guests Zach McNish of Revolution, with a stress on the sun, right? Am I right?
Yep, absolutely.
Okay. And Eric Saunders, Hawaii Eco Project. It's only one project, though. What happens with the second project?
Well, it's the whole thing.
The whole thing is a big project.
Whole career, whole business is one project.
This is a total entrepreneurial approach to that. You can feel it. Okay, and welcome to the show, you guys.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And of course, my co-host, Sharon Moriwaki. Hi, Sharon.
Aloha.
Okay, we're broadcasting on Ustream, live streaming. We're broadcasting on Spreaker, live audio. We'll post this on YouTube. We'll post it on Olelo 54. It'll be everywhere. So to the extent you guys are famous, you'll be much more famous. And we're broadcasting, of course, on 760 AM KGU to the world. Anyway, we're going to call this show, and we had to negotiate exactly what to call this show. Renewables, wait a minute. Oh, Ruminations on Renewables with special attention on solar and solar efficiency and financing. or something like that.
Close.
And we actually agreed on that, which goes to the point about all this, a Hanakako. If you work at it, you can agree on anything. It's a matter of building consensus.
It just gets to be really long.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Everybody happy about it, And that is the credo of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. We can get consensus if we work at it. Sharon's the co-chair of the Hawaii Energy Policy Forum. Okay, it's very important. Yeah. Okay, and now we got Rob Devira Furta.
You practiced that about 3 times, but yeah, Devira Furta. So thank you, Jay, for having me.
And he's with Hawaii Energy, and he's got one of those things they think up at 2 o'clock in the morning on how to incentivize us. Go for it, Rob.
All right, thank you for having me for the Negawatt Moment, the voice of Hawaii Energy today. Can't see me. So we're going to talk about drops in watts, and really what that boils down to is how saving water and energy really go hand in hand. And so I'll give you some tips, very basic stuff, but I think a lot of people don't realize that water takes a massive amount of electricity, primarily in heating, but also pumping, treating, storing, delivering it. So a lot of the unseen stuff does require a lot of electricity. And heating water primarily, showering, bathing, cooking, shaving, and cleaning, of course, clothes, as well as dishes. So invariably, if you save less water use, less electricity, the more money that you can save. So just some very basic tips that I'll go over. And so the first one is really fixing leaks. And so that's in the form of any kind of like faucets, toilets, pipes, just because the pumping requires electricity. So what you can do, an easy way to do that is to check your water meter before and after, usually within a 2-hour period of using the water. And then if you check the meter, and if it goes, obviously if it goes down, then indicates a leak. So I realize not everyone can check their, their water meter, but those that can, it's really helpful to do that. Another one is shorter showers. Maybe that's hard to do, but if you
in my house, that's very hard to do.
Yeah,
very hard.
It's easier said than done.
You're really asking, for a sacrifice on that one.
We're not talking about
my wife grew up in a house which was 2/3 furo. We're not going to say anything more about it. Okay, go.
We're not talking about a whole lot of time here. It's just 2 minutes. So if you just shorten it by 2 minutes, you can save up to over 1,800 gallons per person, and that's about an $80 electricity savings each year. So not a whole lot of time, but you do save up to $80 for that 1 year. Another one also with showers, installing low flow shower heads. So that doesn't mean it doesn't have any pressure. You can still have pressure and still get good good shampoo going, but just ones that are more efficient, and so that can save up to $160 in electricity per year. And another one is laundry. And so laundry, you can do that washing in cold water as opposed to hot all the time, and fully loaded. You just don't want to do 1 or 2 pieces of clothes. Seems pretty obvious, I guess, but you want to be fully loaded and in air drying. So we'll take advantage of the the Hawaiian sun, put it out there. It's a lot easier than drying it, so that saves obviously a lot of electricity. And then the last one is really dishes, washing your dishes. I think I talked about that earlier. So again, fully loaded. You want it kind of packed to the rafters, and use a little elbow grease to hand dry it.
Or you could just not wash them at all.
You could not wash them at all. Or you could use
That's how
paper
we save
plates
food.
and plastic forks and plastic spoons. Or
Wait a
not
minute.
eat.
No,
It costs
plastic
plenty of
like
energy to
that.
make plastic. Don't forget about that.
Oh, that's right. I meant silverware. What am I saying? Go watch that. All right. So if you want to learn more, about we have different. Hawaii Energy has different ways to save money on the electric bill, both for residents as well as businesses. So visit us, hawaiienergy.com. And there's a number of different things you can take a look at on there. We also have a newsletter you can sign up for. So anything going down in the electricity world, saving electricity, come check us out.
Okay, the Negawatt Moment with Rob Diverturda.
You almost got that
Yeah, I'm
second
getting closer.
Whoa.
You have to
All
come back
right.
and do it again. But
right.
don't go because we have cross-examination.
Oh, okay.
Okay, let's have Eric go first. Cross-examination. Go ahead. Go for it.
Oh, he wasn't expecting
I wasn't
that.
expecting that at all.
You really are going to cross-examine me.
All right, well, I'll give you a moment. Okay, Zach, you go.
There
What do
you
you
go.
got for cross-examination?
I'm sure
What's
Zach
the
Gary's right.
what's the average length of a shower? Just so I've got a benchmark. If I'm
Oh.
cutting 2 minutes, like maybe my showering is already adequately short.
Well, I read it somewhere around 10 minutes. The average is around 10 minutes.
10 minutes.
Yeah, so if you start by 2, go to 8, or if you want to 12, dropped it to 10. It just depends on what it is. But I've seen 10. I personally do about 10 minutes or so. So 2 minutes wouldn't be that hard.
All right.
And what about us who take baths?
Baths.
You're not supposed to fill up the tub anymore, and we all go into showers because it takes a lot of water.
That does take a lot. I think showers are preferable, especially with if it's a low flow type of shower head. Yeah.
Personal hygiene advice here.
You're sitting for hours just waiting for the water.
Waiting for the water to heat up, yeah, that could take a while, But I think low flow shower head is in order. That'll help out a lot. Save a lot of money too over the course of the year.
I'm ready.
Okay.
You ready?
What's ready?
Gardening. You have the sprinkler, the timers, or drip lines.
Yeah, I didn't mention this, but the one way is I don't even know if they even call them, but it's a sprinkler head that kind of, no one can see this, but it's the way it sprays as opposed to one that's more efficient. It's more economical with the water. Also, what you said with the timers, so you're not having one out there. Kind of like, it's probably more like in the 80s and 90s where they had ones that just kind of sprayed for hours and going back and forth in the same place. So now everything is, the ones that pop up. I don't know what they're called, but those are more water efficient than they are. With the others, you kind of just attach to the hose.
So you put that all around your yard?
So it's usually
It's not in one place.
No, it's usually pre-installed with a plumber, and you have it around your garden. And so those are generally more energy efficient. If you have a condo or a townhome, which I have, which not as big a concern, but those more with homes, I guess, could install those as opposed to just hooking it up to a hose.
What about washing cars?
Ooh, this is some challenging questions here.
I mean, that takes a lot.
Washing cars. Well, okay, this goes beyond my knowledge, but just you should basically
Don't
be
wash
using
it.
some. No, you should wash your car. You can take it to a car wash, or
Oh,
you
then
could
somebody
use.
else's
Yeah,
water.
or generally you don't want the water to continue to flow, right? So if it's just constantly flowing, you want to fill up a bucket. Have a nozzle on there instead, or car wash.
Well, I guess the message is, whenever you deal with water, remember there's energy involved in providing the water.
And I think a lot of
if you
people
use
don't
less
realize that.
water, you use less energy.
Less energy, save
Yeah.
one in the long run.
If I, all this advice you're giving about this, I mean, should I do this first, or should I take my old refrigerator down? What's more important for the cause? By the way, on the refrigerator, I get some money.
Yeah.
So you're probably going to tell me the refrigerator first, and then I could worry
Perfect.
about
Well,
the
yeah,
water.
the first thing we stress is energy efficiency throughout your home to make sure you're being, turning off lights, and if you have energy. I think what you're talking about is the Energy Star appliances. So if you
Indeed,
don't
I
have one
am.
already,
Where I get my
yeah,
money.
exactly,
I want money.
For the bounty program. So we have a great bounty program going on here. So anybody who doesn't have an energy efficient refrigerator that basically trades up to one. So there's an incentive there of $25 as well as $65 on the neighbor islands. And so that's one of the, sucks up the most electricity in the appliance is your refrigerator.
Okay, we're going to go to the next part of the show.
All right.
Thank you, Rob.
Thank
Great
you for having
work.
me, Jay, Sharon.
Hawaii
Appreciate it.
Energy.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And by the way, Hawaii Energy is one of our sponsors for this show. So is Hawaiian Electric Company. I'm starting to call it Hawaii's Electric Company. I mean,
Hawaiian Electric.
no, but it's been with us for 120 years, so you know we love it, right? You know. And DBED, the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism. Those are the three. Okay, there are actually others too. And now I hear a sound in my ear that is signifying to me and to all of you that we're going to take a break. So this is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, with Zach McNish of Renewables Sun and Eric Saunders of Hawaii Eco Project, and Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host in this program. We'll be right back after this break for more on clean energy.
Hi, how are you? You feeling good? Are you feeling lucky? Think Tech Hawaii, it puts a bubble in my bender. If you don't feel good, that's your fault. Now that's live TV, folks.
Aloha, I'm Jay Fidel for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaiian Foreign Trade Zone, number 9, has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBED, the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program. It does so to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Jay Fidel of ThinkTech. Mahalo.
Aloha, my name is Dan Bauer and I'm the General Manager of the Plaza Club. The Plaza Club is Honolulu's premier business club. We're located in the heart of the financial district on historic Fort Street Mall. On the 20th and 21st floors atop the Pioneer Plaza, our commanding skyline views, along with our award-winning cuisine and service, are known as the place to do business downtown. We offer professional as well as social events and programs to our members and their guests, all tailored to enrich their professional and personal lives and to give them the cutting edge that they deserve in business. Why don't you consider becoming a member of the club? Call me at 531-7788 or come see me and let's talk business and how the Plaza Club can work for you. Again, my name is Dan Bauer. I'm the General Manager of the club and I'm here for you.
We want to thank our underwriters.
Hawaiian Electric Company and its affiliates Maui Electric on Maui and Hawaii Electric Light Company on Hawaii Island are deeply committed to the communities they serve.
Galen Ho is a Senior Executive of BAE Systems, a global defense, security, and aerospace company.
The High-Tech Development Corporation, the state's leading technology agency, attached to the Department of Business, Economic Development, and Tourism.
Castle and Cook Hawaii, with a time-honored legacy that spans more than 160 years and revolves around its mission of investing in Hawaii, creating communities, and providing for the needs of our state.
Hawaii Gas, formerly the Gas Company, a proponent of the Liquefied Natural Gas Initiative, helping Hawaii achieve its transition to clean energy and a better energy future.
Collateral Analytics, a Hawaii-based tech company empowering the real estate industry with greater and faster access to the tools and data they need to make better informed property.
Okay, we're back, we're live, we're here with Sharon Moriwaki, my co-host, and Zach McNish of Renewables Sun, and Eric Saunders of Hawaii Eco Project. Just one word about Hawaii Eco Project, because we don't know too much about it. Tell us about it quick.
Be real brief. We started out as a renewable energy company. We're not necessarily just PV. We do energy efficiencies, EV charging. We've done a lot of LED retrofits. We kind of look at a building as a whole, as an entire ecosystem, them reduce their usage and then go and provide a energy generation solution as well. We've provided financing, the PPAs and things like that for nonprofits, and as well as residential and regular commercial customers as well.
Sounds like you have 500 employees doing all those things.
We have a very efficient staff.
Okay, Zach, you have 500 employees, am I right?
No, we don't have 500 employees, but we Revolution does residential, commercial, and small utility scale projects in Hawaii, and franchising our business on the mainland as well.
Okay, let's dive right into the current events. This whole thing was a piece in the paper by Alan Yonan on Sunday about the fact that we didn't have a system by which the utility could say no. And so the utility gets all locked up and doesn't want to give approvals, and then the installer community doesn't like that, and the owners who have expectations, they don't like it, and what are we going to do? I mean, there is a point at which too much return energy is going to fry the system. And when it fries the system, we're all going to be sorry, because the system won't be reliable. Pieces of equipment will go up in little puffs of smoke, and we'll have to write to Germany for replacements. It may be Germany or somewhere else. I don't know where it is. But I'm just saying that there's a point out there which we should be concerned about. And to me, I mean, looking at the common good, the most important thing of all is what? Keeping the lights on. Okay. That's the most important thing. It's more important than anything else. So, query, what's happening?
I think there's a short-term vision of keeping the lights on, and there's a long-term vision. Part of this whole energy initiative is to make Hawaii more sustainable, less dependent on foreign oil. So there are real issues facing us today. There aren't a ton of solutions in front of us immediately. There's steps that could have been taken, I feel, to plan accordingly to possibly alleviate some of these concerns. The suddenness of the stop a little bit kind of caught everyone off guard. But I do think...
Which there was the tax credits?
No,
everything catches everybody off guard these days.
Well, I mean, we've had, every year there's been at least 1 or 2 bumps in this industry. This one happens to be probably the most effective.
All this has emerged, for sure. Solar has emerged as the leader, and more than anyone expected. I would have expected wind to be way out in front, but it's solar that's out in front. I would have expected geothermal to be powering most of the state by now. It's not doing that. I would have expected ocean energy to be, and algae, for goodness sake, and biofuel. But it's solar. That's where we are.
Well, and I think the reason for that, if I can just jump in for a second, is solar is something that individual homeowners can participate in a way that most of them can't participate in geothermal or big wind or algae or anything else.
They can make their investment.
They can make their investment, and it makes sense for them. The economics make sense. We have very high electricity rates, and solar allows them to pay less for their energy needs. And on top of that, it allows people to participate and feel like they're participating in our state's clean energy goals, and in a movement which is very appropriate for our state.
It's
and
true.
So I think
people have good feelings about it.
They do. People want solar.
Their accountants tell them it's going to work for them. They're going to, have a good time accounting-wise and tax-wise, and all the signs are in the right place, except that you can't take an unlimited amount on the grid. And we had to get to this point. Whether we get to it now or last year or next year, we have to get to this point. Here we are.
Sure.
What's the point that we're at?
Where you can't put all you want on it.
Yes.
We've actually been there before. I mean, it's not a new thing.
Yeah.
You say people were surprised, but maybe some people were surprised, but Sharon and I, you look surprised? You're not surprised. Sharon is not surprised. I'm not. You guys aren't surprised either. I mean, we knew this was going to happen at some point. So the question is, okay, here we are. And putting aside, the interests involved in installing solar, and you guys represent them, what do we do?
Well, I think personally, we have a fairly reliable grid. I don't want that to change. I think as a homeowner, and I like having power on constantly. It's nice to have that backup. I think some of the metrics that are being used may be a little conservative as far as are we at that point. I think that's where Zach was trying to get is what is that point where are we really at that dangerous level, state or island-wide, statewide?
Well, reasonable men will differ, and women. You know, some people say we got plenty of room here. We can put a lot more on, no problemo. The utility says, well, you know, maybe not that much more. We're getting close. We're going to be conservative. Want to keep the lights on. So we have a conceptual difference of opinion about this, driven in part by self-interest. How do you find the answer? How do you find where exactly that point is where you say no? How do you find that?
I think we need data.
Take a vote?
No, I think there's a lack of data, and I think there's pilot projects in place for the smart meter, getting into the 21st century grid.
What's smart meter?
There's pilot projects going on Maui right now with Hitachi and some other organizations, testing it out, being able to. And Kauai is pushing it. There's some controversy behind it.
Yeah, they got the same controversy with the KIUC as we have here.
Exactly. So it's data. It's an outdated grid. No one will stand up and say this is the perfect grid. This is the grid we're going to have.
You know what the problem is that in the old days the power went one way. It was all built to take it, not to give it.
Right.
Now we're giving it.
From
the grid is not really built for that.
From a few select sites, right, is where all the generation came from. Now that is distributed, you know, throughout the communities, the businesses, and things like that. So it's evolving. If you look at, you know, pretty much every other industry, it's evolved. Technology has taken over. Even telecom and all that have evolved, and the utilities are really the last frontier. For that, and I think you're going to see a lot of changes technology-wise, data-wise. I think you know that will make that in a collaborative effort to make the utility more efficient, as well as still allowing more and more PV on there. There's data, and then you know we'll get much further into the storage idea as well.
Yeah, well, I want to talk about storage, but first I want to know
what's the solution.
Yeah, well, okay, let's start with that.
So I mean, I think it's important to point out that the first step in the solution is precisely what HECO is doing, which is differentiating different areas of the grid based on the amount of distributed generation, solar, or you know, in this case, it's almost all solar.
Whatever the circumstances are in that
circuit,
area.
right? So there's 500 and some odd circuits on the grid on Oahu.
Okay.
I think my numbers could be off by a few, but there's a lot. And some of them have a lot of solar on them, and some have very little solar on them. And so now HECO is differentiating those areas in a systematic way and sharing that information with customers. And so customers know what areas they can, are more available for solar.
That sounds like a good thing.
It is a good thing.
Yeah,
it's a good thing. So I think that HECO's absolutely on the right track on that first step. And then the next step is when HECO gets a warning signal, hey, we think this may be full. Okay, let's interrogate that. Let's figure out, is it really full, or can more
how do you interrogate
be put
that?
safely on that through data, right? I mean, there are
It's
studies
not data
going
on Maui. You're talking about Maui.
But the Sandia National Labs is constantly producing reports and updating them and whatnot, and so I think
But
there's a process.
when you talk about data, aren't you talking about data right here, right now? Data about how many houses, data about how many houses are pushing energy back, how much they're using, how the lines are doing, that kind of data?
That's part of that's part of the equation. I think the other part is then, what would happen if we put more on, right? That's a question, that's a counterfactual or whatever we call that. So we can't know that.
That's prediction. That's data
prediction.
Analysis, analytics, right?
But it's based on data from other locations, right? It's based on
do you know this? I mean, I don't know.
Well, on Friday, HECO is adding monitors to each of their circuits to get better data. They don't have it on every circuit at this point. They've said they're working towards that. So as they get that, they'll know more. They admittedly said that so we have these two different penetration levels. We'll just focus on the 100% daytime minimum.
Okay.
That is the amount of PV on a circuit between 9 and 5. So whatever that minimum load is between 9 and 5, it's either going to be at 9 or 5. They're using the peak PV production that usually would come at noon and using that number to go against this, you know, that daytime minimum. So they admittedly know it's a conservative estimate, but it's a safe estimate for now because they don't want to have the problems you initially started this conversation with. So they're saying is they put more monitors and you're able to look at each circuit individually, they'll truly see where that peak is on PV, and then now that's the, you know, they'll be able to move that 100% daytime minimum up on these given circuits.
Right, but you know, don't you need, this goes to the storage reference you made, don't you need to have a place where the extra energy lives until you need to call on it? And where is that place right now? The music comes as I ask the critical questions, the music. Okay, this is time to think about it. I know we'll come up with something. Okay, this is Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy, here on 760 AM KGU with Zach McNish and Eric Saunders talking about ruminations on renewables with special interest on solar and solar efficiency. Sharon Moriwaki and me, we're going to find out what's going on here. Okay, we'll be right back after this break.
Hi, how are you? You feeling good? Are you feeling lucky? Think Tech Hawaii, it puts a bubble in my bender. If you don't feel good, that's your fault. Now that's live TV, folks.
I'm David Day, the host of Asian Review. This is a Think Tech program in which we take the issues of the Asia-Pacific region, whether they be in business, in foreign policy, in national security, or geopolitics. And we take those issues and we try to probe down in some real depth. Maybe it's not always politically correct, but we get to the truth. We do things that the regular media can't do. And the reason that we can do those things is because we here at Think Tech have the contacts. We have the network. And we can take the time and explore the issues in depth. Tune in every Thursday at 4 p.m. here at Think Tech Hawaii.
Aloha, I'm Maria Kashem of Think Tech Hawaii, and I want to tell you about our Think Tech talk shows. If you didn't know it, Think Tech streams video and audio for all of its shows live on the internet from 2 to 5 p.m. every weekday afternoon, and we replay them all night long on ustream.tv. Visit thinktechhawaii.com for our live stream and YouTube links. Raise your awareness on Think Tech. I'm Maria Kashem, and I'll see you there.
Thank you, Jack Waters. You know, you guys, you know, and I say you guys, I mean everybody. You miss the kind of intensity that we have during the breaks. It's almost like we had to sell the breaks. The best part is the breaks. Trying to get down to it, man. So okay, let's deal with the kind of stuff we were talking about in the breaks. So, wouldn't life be wonderful? And we've all said this for a long time. If we had storage, hydro, or a big rubber band, or all kinds of battery possibilities, or electric cars with batteries. That's not happening anytime soon. Or whatever you name, some kind of storage. Without storage, you have too much with a system that's not built to save anything. And so what do? You get grounded, and it's a terrible waste. Think of the starving children in Moldavia, grounding electricity. How could you do that? Throw it away like this? Worth money. So what do we do? I mean, looking at it fresh, what do we do? The system can't handle storage. There is no storage. What do we do?
So, I was just up in Chicago at the big Solar Power International. There were 28 companies offering storage solutions. Big ones or little ones? Both, big and little, startups, long-established entities. A lot of lead acid right now. That's the cheapest technology. I think part of the storage issue comes down to where do you put the storage? Do you put it at the substation? Do you put it at the individual house? What's the technology? You brought up 3 or 4 different technologies, and there's a bunch more.
I was
out
only
there.
kidding about the rubber bands.
Well, I left that one out. I think there's 3 or 4 legit ones. There's so many questions, and we don't really have the answer. I think this is where the collaboration comes in. Is really what helps the utility the most? What allows more renewable energy on there? And what the technology is. I think in 2014 you will see almost every, I don't think it's any secret, I think every solar company will have an offering with batteries of some sort.
Storage.
Storage, yeah, of whether it's lead acid or lithium ion. Lead acid is the kind of the long-standing.
This is a long-standing conventional model, and I went to visit the the Verizon wireless facility. Its location is not disclosed, and they have backups for the cell phones. No matter what happens, they got to have a back on that. What do you think it is? It's lead acid batteries. You walk around, put water in from time to time. That's it. It's it's simple. A room's full of batteries like that. It sounds like it's old technology, but that's what they use.
That's where it's at right now. There's some. The good side is it's cheaper. It's a fairly viable alternative. The downside, it takes up a lot of room. There's a lot of maintenance, lifespan of 3 to 5 years, and then you have different.
So would you put this by each house like Joseph Turnia and the M-Power facility, or would you put it in a central place? Or would you put some things in a central place and some things on the house?
I guess if in a central place you have to have big batteries, taking lots of space.
The problem is that sometimes they burn, it's a problem.
Yeah. I guess as a solar company that does a lot of DG, I guess that would be pretty clear that we think it's distributed.
You mean the batteries?
Yeah, the batteries
at the home.
I think there's going to be 2 options. There's probably going to be a combination of some sort, because you can't force homeowners to put battery on as of today. It did happen in Germany, but
how expensive would it be for a homeowner to buy?
I can tell you that Joseph Turnia's M-Power is between $15,000 and $25,000.
Wow. And that's
it's
on
not
top
cheap.
of the PV.
Right. And so there's that. There's no incentives in place or anything with that. And then every household is different. If you have retirees that are home most of the day, they're using most of their power during the day. Whereas if it's a young family of 4, they're out, they go to sports, they come back, then they cook and do laundry. They're using most of their power at night, so they have a larger storage need. So it really depends. So it's going to be case by case, and it's. So there's so many questions in how to implement it. So
it's true. I mean, we're inventing a new world here. And when we finish, it's going to be fabulous. But what about Revolution? Do you have a storage package that you're selling?
So, as Eric said, I think every solar contractor in Hawaii is working on a storage package.
Say working on or selling, which one?
We're not currently selling storage, but I expect that we will be soon.
Watch the Turnia.
But I think, Jay, I want to make one point here, which is that obviously storage is going to be part of the mix in the future and increasingly in Hawaii. There's no doubt about that. I don't think that's disputed.
It's the only thing that's going to solve the problem, actually.
But I think that it's in all of our interests as a state, as homeowners, as solar contractors, as members of the public, to try to make the grid as efficient as possible, so that we can get as much solar. The best storage device is the grid. Right? That is the most efficient storage device that exists, is allowing other people to use the power you produce and borrowing at different times, shifting it around within the grid.
Let me add a gloss on that, and that is in the middle of the day, when all those cells are pumping out all that electricity, nobody needs it, actually. And you'd have this problem of spilling. At night, it's going to be the other way around. So where actually would the extra power live, on the grid, and with what equipment?
Right. So I agree that, I mean, storage is part of the solution, there's no doubt, but there are other things, you know, if you were to rewire the circuits, there's plenty of office buildings that use a whole heck of a lot of power during the daytime and have almost no ability to put solar on their roofs because they're really tall and have a bunch of...
So from those who can generate it to those who need it.
Yeah.
So it's intelligent distribution.
Yes. And I'm not a technical person, so I can't tell you how exactly that can happen. I'm just saying as a member of the public and as a resident of Hawaii, I think it's clearly in all of our interest to try to find ways to make that happen.
Absolutely.
And work together to do that.
Absolutely. You know, and I actually think that people in general, you know, you guys, the industry, solar industry, and people who put solar, they ought to know more about the smart grid. They ought to know what it means. We've heard that term for how many years now? But if you ask the guy in the street, so what is it? What is it?
And some people don't even want it in
they get
their
a pretty amorphous answer. Well, I don't know what it is. It's just smart, that's all.
But I think even that term is evolving. I think we've had meetings and the term is getting more towards a 21st century grid versus a smart meter because you know, smart meter can be anything. And same thing with batteries. Batteries can do anything, whether it's provide to provide backup power or to provide smoothing to the grid. Even doing that, you know, so if the utility is worried about this much power coming out and everyone puts in a battery and now only this much is coming out, you know, we've helped the grid and now more people can install PV and put those batteries on. So there's other, so I mean, they're not necessarily off, they're just having less of an impact on the grid, so there's less flowing back to the utility and it's easier for them to manage. So I think at that point we get, you know, more homes on and the utility's in a safe spot, they're happy, and this is where the collaboration and, you know, we have to be able to share data and understand what's really happening there. So we can design the right size systems, and so there's got to be a lot of collaboration and to advance this. I do think where Zach was going is that that more efficient grid is probably a cheaper or more immediate route than implementing batteries into, you know, the entire grid. Like I said, if we go lead acid, which is available today, marketable at a reasonable price, you know, you're going to replace it in 3 to 5 years.
Right.
So you're just
going down the wrong trail,
pushing the can down the road. So you know, where being able to make the grid more efficient, you're able to have a long-lasting.
It's a capital investment.
Exactly.
Yeah. And there's so many issues around this. I mean, it's not we can have a 6-hour show and never really get to square one on exactly what should be done. But I mean, I've heard what you were saying, a number of times, and that somehow if you build a smarter grid, it's more resilient and it handles more of the overflow, and it's not going to be exactly what you want, but it will be less risky if you have a better distribution and you have devices. I don't know exactly what devices, but if you have devices on the grid, and I think that's the first step. Problem is what devices, where do you get them, how do you install them, and here's the big one, and I put it to both of you, how do you pay for them? Smart grid devices, how do you pay for them? Some people say, Alan Yonin's article on Sunday, some people say, well, you have the utility pay and have them put it in the rate base. Other people say, have the homeowners pay for the homeowner level of smart grid device, maybe the meters you're talking about, and have the utility pay and apply to the rate base the bigger ones, involving the bigger, the PV farms and whatever, big stuff. How do you feel about this? How do you feel about cost in general? A lot of people think that shouldn't be their responsibility, that somebody else should pay, but who?
Well, I think the general, or the consensus, not consensus, let's just say one of the ideas is that ultimately the entire grid benefits from a smart meter system, like a more efficient meter, right? So the whole idea is they're able to add more renewable energy, which is much cheaper than what they're paying now for the low sulfur. So everyone does ultimately benefit from a better grid, and so not just the people that are installing solar. They may have an immediate impact dropping from $300 to $16 on their bill, but With that, they're also, in theory, reducing the amount of oil that HECO is purchasing, and so the cost of fuel.
Well, are you suggesting that if I find a black box, I don't talk about this, Sharon's heard me talk about this before, a black box that goes at the house level, that will ameliorate the problem, that the grid in general, the public in general should pay for that? I mean, wouldn't it be fair if Revolution was going to sell a system to include the black box in there that helps the community, but primarily helps this one person, this one homeowner? I mean, there's got to be a distinction, I think, between a black box that helps one house and a black box that helps, 100,000 people.
And it occurs to me, Jay, as we're talking about this, that I think there's really sort of two issues that we've wrapped up into this conversation. One is the safety issue of the grid, right? And HECO is concerned that too much distributed generation on individual circuits will create unsafe situations.
You mean like dangerous, like
dangerous,
hurt you, kill you kind?
Okay, so let's say dangerous. I don't know about that, but dangerous and or unreliable. So that's one bucket of concerns, and the other that you're talking about is simply oversupply. What do we do with all of this extra stuff that's out there? And I think that we might want to look at each of those separately from a policy perspective, right? I mean, those are not necessarily. If I'm the homeowner, and I want some credit from the energy that I'm producing, and it needs to be stored somewhere, then maybe that's something that's I should expect to pay for my energy to get stored if I want credit for it. On the other hand, if it's simply an issue of the grid working the way that we as a society want our grid to work, and the way that we want our public utility that we've granted a public monopoly to operate, then maybe that's something that should be in the rate base or should be borne more across the board.
Lots of issues. I just had this vision in my brain I want to tell you. When I grew up in New York City, there were these guys that walked down the sidewalk outside your house, and they would say, I cash old clothes. And they were willing to pay you cash for your old clothes. And I'm not kidding. I mean, I'm older than I look. And you would throw the clothes out the window, okay? And they would put money in a little bag on the end of a string, and then you sell your clothes that way. Then they, So how about this for a vision? So you have too much PV. This man comes down the street and he says, I'll buy your PV. Just drop it out the window. I'll take it. I'll put it in my little backpack here, and I'll take it away, and I'll give you cash for it.
Yeah.
I mean, if we had a black box where the guy could actually buy your PV off your system.
That's the free market, non-monopoly version of our energy system, right?
I'd love to, put history together. So we take a short break, then come back, and we're going to solve this problem for once and all. That's Zach McNish, Revolution, and Eric Saunders and Hawaii Eco Project, and we're finding out the truth of the universe here with Sharon Moriwaki on Hawaii, the state of clean energy. We're talking about ruminations on renewables with special interest on solar and solar, the efficiency and financing. We'll be right back. Aloha, I'm Jay Fidel for ThinkTech. For nearly half a century, the Hawaiian Foreign Trade Zone, number 9, has brought the benefits of the Foreign Trade Zone program to Hawaii businesses and entrepreneurs. DBED, the Hawaii Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, operates Hawaii's Foreign Trade Zone program. It does so to encourage international business and economic development. The Foreign Trade Zone mission is to increase the amount of international trading activity in Hawaii, thereby providing employment opportunities for the residents of our island state. For more information, see ftz9.org. I'm Jay Fidel of ThinkTech. Mahalo. Hi, I'm Jay Fidel. Yes, this is ThinkTech, broadcasting on Ustream and Spreaker both day and night, doing its thing on OC16 and Olelo, and uploading videos all over YouTube. Check us out and see the links on thinktechhawaii.com. Mahalo.
Hi, thank you for tuning in. My name is Attila Saras, and I'm the host for ThinkTech Fridays. Join us online 24/7, 365 days a year at thinktechhawaii.com. We're talking about things that matter to Hawaii and around the world. My name again is Attila Saras, and I'm the host for ThinkTech Fridays. Mahalo.
I'm
I'm Bill Spencer, President of the Hawaii Venture Capital Association. We do monthly luncheon programs with ThinkTech about things that matter to Hawaii entrepreneurs, investors, and business service providers. So join us on the fourth Thursday of every month at the Plaza Club. For information about upcoming events or to join our mailing list, visit hvca.org. See you there.
Hi, how are you? You feeling good? Are you feeling lucky? ThinkTech Hawaii, it puts a bubble in my bender. If you don't feel good, that's your fault. Now that's live TV, folks.
We're back, we're live, we're ThinkTech. We're doing the Hawaii, the State of Clean Energy on Wednesday, talking about a rumination over renewables with Zach McNish of Revolution and Eric Saunders of Hawaii Eco Project. We're having a very creative discussion, which I really appreciate. What do you think, Sharon?
It's wonderful.
Yeah.
We're going to solve the problems in the world.
We're going to try. We're going to keep on trying.
Right.
So here's my idea. Black box, okay? You can buy this black box for like $200. No big deal. Now this black box connects either with the internet or through the power line, okay, to the utility, okay? And it's hooked up to the solar situation, right? So when you're sending power back on the feed-in tariff, the black box is letting it go back. It goes through the black box. But when the utility believes, okay, by virtue of its calculations, that box, or rather that house, that supply of power is too much, it's a problem, then the utility has the power to curtail using the black box, okay? So the energy that this owner is getting and receiving is really about the same either way. It's just that he can't sell, you know, when the utility doesn't want it. But he gets the energy from his PV, he gets the nighttime energy from the grid, he has his $16 bill or whatever. The only thing is he can't sell when they don't want it. And it's installed with every system, old and new both. Everybody is subject to the same algorithm. And it's an algorithm. Some computer guy made the algorithm, and it says when the grid tells you it's too much, we can turn off this box, or that box, or whatever, how many boxes. Okay? Okay, of course the problem is, what is the algorithm? Okay, so you have a bunch of really smart guys look at the algorithm and they say, oh, we think this is a good algorithm. The PUC doesn't agree because everybody is on the PUC. No, the algorithm is too conservative, can't do that. So, okay, you want to change the algorithm? Go ahead and change it. You're responsible if anything goes down. It's okay. Well, you know, whatever. I mean, you just propose the algorithm if you're a utility, and if people want to argue with it, it's okay. It's just an algorithm. You could change it. You could test it. You could test it against other data. You could become really smart. It could be the core of a smart grid in terms of not taking energy that might be too much. Everything else remains the same. The economics are the same except for that period of time when the energy stops at the black box. Okay, and the cost of the black box, this is my idea, Sharon's heard it before. The cost of the black box on the house is paid in the package with the PV. It's part of the package. Comments? Shoot me down.
I feel like you just described a smart meter.
Yeah, it's like for us. Yeah, that's
So,
right.
I think you just invented
It's
a smart
exactly
meter.
I'm slow.
No, I think I think that hits all the points we have talked about as far as data and analysis. you know, I don't know how the curtailment, that's a very dangerous word, you know,
That's what it is.
I mean, but, you know, and then so if the utility's not getting all of that to distribute, are you really generating enough to zero out your bill, right? If they're
You're not.
curtailing
Probably
20%,
not.
so you're no longer at that $16
The
bill,
numbers
you're
are
gonna
different.
you
Yeah.
know? But I mean, ultimately in that case, our rates are so high here that our economics are going to work for quite some time. I don't, you know, even that's why I think you're going to see. I mean, not to go off your black boxing, but I think that's why batteries are going to be very popular this year. Because even with that, I think the economics of the system can work.
I'll add to the black box and say, you know, you can also put in one of those storage systems too, and never actually, you know, and in Saturnia's equipment, you don't have to send it. You know, you can actually set it to rely on the storage. So I can use both in tandem and make it easier. I just have to spend more money.
But do you think that'll work in customers wanting to be able to buy
That's
the
the
whole
question.
package because it's now going to be twice as much?
I think if it's a question of getting interconnected and getting on the grid, if it's something that is said, you put this magic black box on there with you know, X amount of storage, and we interconnect your system, people would do it all day. Because right now the whole question is, will I get interconnected? There's a lot of highly saturated, you know, areas. So that's, you know, if it's that or paying for, you know, upgrades to the grid, you know, based on economics, we'll make that decision which way it goes.
Exactly. I forgot to mention that if you have the black box, then there's no argument about whether you can install or not install, whether you need an interconnect, you know, investigation or what, you know, it's okay.
There's no guarantee, there's no argument.
Well, there's never a guarantee, there's no argument, never a guarantee of that, but maybe less of an argument.
Well, I think that's that's where we're hoping it goes, right, is, you know, and like I briefly mentioned, I mean, that's kind of what happened in Germany. They said, all right, we can't handle all this PV. Now, if you want PV, you have to install a battery with it. And, you know, I think, you know, as Zach had mentioned at the beginning, HECO has nothing to go off of within the U.S. They've been progressive between HECO and MECO. They have the most PV on the circuit, or most renewable out there, and no one else in the U.S. is even close to what they're experiencing. But I think Germany, looking towards Germany and Europe, Germany has no sun. I mean, it's not a sunny place.
It's really interesting how that works.
You know, and so it's always been one of the leaders, and so I think it's good for us to look at that. Sure, the grid's a little bit different, but I think we can take some very valuable things from them, policy-wise and technology-wise, and implement them here. And you know, part of our interest at Hawaii Eco is kind of that longer term vision of that is, you know, where this industry is going, not just till 2016 till the credits run out on the Fed side. It's, you know, it's kind of expanding and following that path that Germany went down. I mean, they're 10 years ahead of us, so you know, we can get there. They're at, you know, 50%. I think with what Hawaii is offering as far as, you know, all the renewable sources, the high rates, tons of sun, and a difficult grid. I think as companies here locally, we're going to be able to take that, implement these things, and then, you know, represent Hawaii throughout the U.S. and around the world. I think we take our challenges here, turn them into solutions, and spread that around the world.
I agree with Eric that I think there's no doubt that if we're able to come together and solve these problems and win this, you know, as a community, we will be a model for other places, and we can, you know, that will be an asset for Hawaii. We can export that. People will come to us and seek out our utility personnel and our consultants as experts in other places, and you know, that's even more reason why we should try to work together to resolve these.
Oh, from your lips to God's ears.
But you mentioned Germany. Are there any other places like that have not conquered, but you know, they're on their way to solving the problem of the storage, the smart grid, and using all the energy they can produce?
I think there's multiple parts in Europe that are kind of leading the way. Renewable energy has been huge there forever. Japan has seen a huge growth in renewable energy, a lot of storage there, because of, you know, the tsunami and things like that. But that's more of a backup solution, not necessarily a grid solution. but we can still implement some of those technologies here locally. And yeah, I think, you know, we work with, you know, some international organizations, and they look to us, look to Hawaii. They want to do things, but you know, it's definitely, we don't have the biggest market in the world, so they're looking at it as a, you know, incubator test center, laboratory. And you know, and I think that's what we're going to see. And so we just need, you know, the policy and kind of be able to allow that the lab to work here. You know, and right now we don't necessarily have that. It's not a fluid. You know.
I hear music again.
Oh, is that
no, it's not in my head. Okay, that was Eric Saunders, Hawaii Eco Project, sorry. Zach McNish, Revolution, Sharon Moriwaki, talking about, oh God, important things. This was a great discussion, you guys. Thank you so much, Eric.
No problem.
Zach, Sharon. Aloha, you guys. Till next week. This was very important. I hope somebody saw this. One person should have seen this. Aloha.